Hi, my name is Laura DeVoe, and I'm going to be giving an informative speech today about how to make gluten-free lemon bars. Just because someone is allergic to wheat or is gluten intolerant shouldn't mean that they can't have a tasty treat from time to time. Can you imagine biting into a delicious lemon bar with a buttery shortbread-like crust? Well, today I'm going to help you learn how to make this delicious dessert that not only has my family craving it, but I have had numerous people ask me to make. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of this recipe, let's do a quick overview about the gluten-free flour blend that I use and what makes it do its magic in this recipe. Then we will get our ingredients listed and go step by step through this recipe. Using flour substitutes for gluten-free cooking can be tricky. There are many pre-made formulas on the market, and I'm sure that they are fine for most people, but I'm not most people. From the time I was a little girl, I have loved to bake, and in my teenage years, there were people in our ward that would actually pay me to bake cookies and other tasty treats for them. That's how much they liked them. So I am really picky about the ingredients I use in all of my recipes. When I realized that I was allergic to wheat and I couldn't eat it anymore, I had to find a solution that would give me that quality of product that I had with wheat flour. So for the next 3 years, I tried every type of flour alternative on the market, including Namaste, King Arthur, Bob's Red Mill, and our Arrowhead gluten-free flours. Then I found the How Can It Be Gluten-Free cookbook. This book's recipes were delicious, delicate, and they looked great coming out of the oven. As a matter of fact, the first time I ever made gluten-free chocolate chip cookies, my husband didn't even notice the difference. This book explained by using white and brown flour, the protein helps balance the starchiness and adds a wheaty flavor. Using tapioca starch allows for elasticity and structure, while the potato starch gives the flour tenderness and adds a bit of binding to it. Then the powdered milk gives it that added protein structure and a little more tenderness, and also adds a rich buttery flavor. It also helps temper the starchiness in the baked goods. I have used this particular flour in pie crusts and in different cookie recipes, muffins, and in a cake, and they have all come out very wonderful. To make this great flour combination, I use a kitchen scale, but you can use a measuring cup as well. I think it's easier to measure it by weight and then pour it into a container and put the lid on and shake it to combine it. It makes about 9 1/3 cups at a time. Take 24 ounces or 4.5 cups plus 1/3 cup of white rice flour, 7.5 ounces or 1 2/3 cup brown rice flour, 7 ounces or 1 1/3 cups potato starch, 3 ounces or 3/4 cup tapioca starch, and 3/4 ounces or 3 tablespoons non-fat milk powder, and mix it really well. Make sure to store it in an airtight container and it will last about 3 months. If your house tends to get above 80 degrees, you'll need to refrigerate it because the powdered sugar doesn't like to be warm and it won't taste very well. Now that we have our flour mixture all together, let's go ahead and get ready to make these lemon bars. When it comes to different types of lemons, there really is a difference. Recently, my husband and I purchased a Myers lemon tree, and I cannot begin to describe how much a difference it makes. So if you can get your hands on Myers lemons, then by all means do it. People may call me a food snob for saying that, but that's okay. Myers lemons will make this recipe even more delicious than usual. But if you can't get Myers lemons, don't feel bad. Use whatever lemons you can and it will be tasty and delicious as well. At this time, I have to warn you about these tasty little morsels. Whenever I make these lemon bars, there have been more than one occasion where I have woken up from a dead sleep as they beckon to me in the kitchen and they want to be eaten. So, be warned, this may happen to you. First, gather all your ingredients together. You will need the flour we just made, as well as the following items: an 8x8 pan, aluminum foil, butter, sugar, salt, xanthan gum, 9 eggs, lemon zest, lemon juice, and a little bit of cream. If you don't know what xanthan gum is, it's an emulsifier that helps ingredients blend more efficiently and stay blended. It is made by fermenting corn sugar with bacteria, the same bacteria that creates black spots on broccoli or cauliflower. It with corn sugar makes the slimy goo that when dried and ground up into a fine powder is used as a thickener in salad dressings, or to prevent ice crystals in ice cream, or to bind ingredients together. You can get it online, or you can get it at a health food store. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees and put your oven rack in the middle of the oven. Make a foil sling for the 8x8 pan so the foil hangs over the edges of the pan, and this will allow you to be able to remove the lemon squares in one piece after you bake them. This will also allow you to be able to cut them and remove them from the pan easier. It will also allow them to cool better. Now go ahead and butter that lined foil pan. People may tell you that using butter or margarine doesn't matter, but to me it does. It tastes different. I try and keep as many natural items in my cooking as possible and keep anything out that isn't natural. So I embrace butter. My family jokes that I will be buried with a stick of butter. And at Thanksgiving time, they always laugh because I have at least a half a gallon of heavy whipping cream in my refrigerator. That's just who I am. Now, let's go ahead and set that pan aside for a minute. Let's make the delicious crust. Combine 1/3 cup of our flour mixture that we've just made with a 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter cut into 1 tablespoon pieces. Put all these ingredients in your KitchenAid and let that mix together until it is combined well. Pour this mixture into your foil lined pan and with a spoon, I use a cereal spoon, press it down into the pan so it's evenly pressed into the bottom of that pan. I always make it go up the sides a little bit so I have something to hold on to when I'm eating my lemon bar, but you don't have to do that if you don't like to. Now I put the crust in the oven and bake it for 25 to 30 minutes or until it's golden brown on the edges. Let it cool down before you add the filling, but don't worry about cooling it too much, or if you don't cool it completely. I usually make the crust and bake it, and then as it's baking I start the filling. It has never been a problem, as I can't wait for it to cool completely, because as soon as I start making this recipe, I want to eat it. Okay, let's make the filling. Take 2 whole eggs and 7 egg yolks and put them in a medium saucepan. Add 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Add 1/4 cup of grated lemon zest, 2/3 cup of lemon juice, and literally a pinch of salt. Yes, there really is a measure for a pinch of salt, and you can get that measurement in your local Bed Bath & Beyond or online. It actually says pinch on it. And 4 tablespoons of butter. Cook this mixture on medium heat until your candy thermometer reads 170 degrees and cook it for about 5 minutes. This will be the consistency of pudding before it's refrigerated. Then remove it from the heat and add 3 tablespoons of cream. Gently pour this delicious filling into the crust and bake it until it is shiny and opaque, about 20 minutes. Now this is the hardest part of the whole recipe, waiting for these tasty little bites of heaven to cool. The recipe says to let them cool for about 2 hours, but mine never get to cool that long. I usually let them cool for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I gently lift them out of the pan by the aluminum foil sling and let them cool for another 30 minutes. Then I dust them with a little powdered sugar and then cut them into squares. Because they are gluten-free, they don't last as long as regular wheat. Keep any leftovers you may have in an airtight container in the refrigerator. Not only are there options for those of us that are not able to eat wheat, there are options that are both delicious and easy to make. After testing many different recipes from a multitude of different books, manufacturers, and sites, this flour recipe is my favorite to use for baking, and this lemon bar recipe is one of my favorites to make and eat. Never be afraid to experiment in baking. You might just create your next favorite dessert.